Good evening, boys and mommy. So today is the 25th day, and we just want to thank everyone, all of you, and so many of you that sent messages to us, and also to pray with us and telephone calls and various things. We're grateful for being part of the journey of our lives, and we're grateful for that. We actually decided to take a 3-day fast to wait on the Lord, because 25 years is a milestone in the life of a person or a journey or an endeavor or whatever it is that we're doing. And we felt that, look, God has plans, specific plans for us. And we need to go back and say, okay, the things that we set out to do, the visions that the Lord showed us, the dreams and the aspirations that we had, have we been able to achieve it? So in the course of the 3 days, it was going to be more of a thanksgiving and praise and worship unto the Lord for keeping us for that 25 years, which is the Silver Jubilee. And so as part of the sacrifice of thanksgiving, we felt that it was important that we take 3 days to the end, to the fasting, right into the day of the anniversary. And most of the time when we set out time to seek the Lord, what then tends to happen is that He begins to minister to us, because you shut down everything else you're doing, and then you are more sensitive to hear what He has to say. So taking at that time, we began to thank the Lord from beginning, the things that the Lord delivered us from. The going into the wedding, where I saw in a dream that my brake failed during the going for the wedding, and I decided to travel a day earlier, and then just realized that despite taking a day earlier, the brake failed in a very, very precarious situation. Short, very sharp bends, valley, and all of that. But there was no accident, because we are taking time to pray and to fast. And then the issue of, after 6 weeks of marriage, a mad woman coming into the house in the location where it was a close. It wasn't on the high street or on the main street where you think that possibly people would just pop in, but mad person, 7 p.m. walking in and going to marital bed 6 weeks into the marriage. It was oh my God, but God delivering us through all of that. And but the key things, speaking to you guys who are still preparing to get married, and what are the things that we've learned, so that you can also learn, because that's the process of discipleship. It's the fact that, first and foremost, before we marry, we had discussion, and we said that we are not going to any day, we're not going to go to bed without reading the Bible and without praying. Sure banker, that was it. And secondly, no sleeping in different rooms. There are quite a lot of families that do that, and we have experienced situations where sometimes 3 a.m., 2 a.m. in the middle of the night, maybe she's having a dream, I'm having a dream, and the dreams, she's having one segment of the dream, I'm having another segment of the dream, and then we wake up at the same time and say, did you see that? Did you see that? And we're sharing the story, the thing, and then we now join hands together and pray. Can imagine if we're in different rooms, and then you have a dream, and then you are trying to recover yourself, and then you're running to another room. So I think families that stay, husband and wife staying in different rooms, they are not doing themselves, they are not helping the journey. They are not helping the journey, because the journey of marriage is a journey that sometimes it has to do with going to the valley of the shadow of death. There are instances where one will fall sick. There are instances where the financial situation will get very bad. There are these situations where you just need counsel. There are situations where you just get discouraged from a lot of things going on, and you just need somebody to just pour your heart out to, So that's one of the things that has kept us. So whatever, even if we fought during the day, at night, one Bible come, your head will reset. You have to let go. First and foremost, the Bible says you should never go to bed. You should not allow the sun go down on your anger. And so once you see that Bible, everything you learned about that Bible will come into focus. Okay. So that's one angle of it. The second angle is the influence of outsiders. Outsiders are people who are not in covenant relationship, because marriage is a covenant relationship that God recognizes. Of every other relationship is one of the things that's talked about in Genesis, and talked about for this reason, for a man leave his father and his mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. And whatever God has joined together, let no man, he didn't say let no dog or no cat or let no man put asunder. And so there's a lot of times when men, brothers, sisters, uncles, blah blah blah, aunties want to have they want to have something, and they do it out of goodwill, but it doesn't go well. Or when there's disagreement between husband and wife, and then people take the matter out. When you take the matter out, there are vested interests. If you take it to your mother's, your mother, they'll be siding with the daughter. If you take it to your whatever, they'll be siding. So we made up our mind that we're not going to take our matters out to third parties, except we have gone out of control, except when we don't understand what is going on. And we kept to that up to 25 years on. And that really helped. The first marriage would have failed for me. Gave me like a training into this particular one. And you guys already know where when that relationship failed, I went into prayer, and after my dad told me of what went on during my birth and the plan he has for me, the plan that God has for me, I just realized that if this is it, I can't marry any woman. And most people just feel like they see somebody who is a female and they just jump and marry. We need to ask God. Well, you can marry, you can choose anyone out of free will, but there are specific persons that God has destined for you, because He knows the journey that He has created for you. And God is not planless. He doesn't just get up and just bring somebody onto the earth, no plan, no nothing, and then join two people together, no plan, no. There's a plan, there's a purpose. So we began to pray that, Lord, show me who my wife is and lead me to the person. And that's how the journey started after this first one. And God revealed it, and then when we met, it was obvious. But that also brought attacks, because the enemy will always fight anything that is in line with purpose and plans of God. And so that is good, because sometimes we need to prove. Everything will be tested. Your faith, your belief will be tested, and whatever it is that you are claiming will be tested. It says everyone will be salted by fire. Literally, that is Mark chapter 9, verse 49. Everyone will be salted by fire, and every sacrifice will be salted with salt. And they say, we are the salt of the earth, we are the light of the world. The city set on the hill cannot be hidden. Let your light so shine before men that they will see your good work and glorify your Father in heaven. So fire is what crisis is what help us stand strong. And in the course of the 25 years, so many ups and downs. We've had quite a lot of up and down. And in each of that, we can see silver lining in each of them that the Lord uses to build us up in our relationship with Him and with one another. When you boys began to come up, it began to disrupt the status quo. And so the attention that mommy had for me began to go to you guys, and then we'll go to shop to go and buy things. And then sometimes I would, when two of you came, we would, Joseph came first. I'll go to the shop and go and buy toys and get everything. Then David came, I'll go to the shop and buy things for Joseph, and I'll forget David. And then I come back and say, what of David? And I'll go back into the shop again to get all of that. But we're sharing this story because you guys still have a journey to pursue and a race ahead of you. And that whatever it is what we're doing, God has a divine plan, and we also have our own permissive plan, and we can chart a course on a plan that is not of God, and do that, and get into a realm that. So we really want to thank God for everything. Each time I look back 25 years, there's so many milestones where you say, "Hey, God, you are awesome." I remember when in Dubai, when we went for mommy's surgery, that I was pacing up and down in the hospital, and a surgery that was supposed to take 1 year took, 1 hour took 2 hours. There was the Isaac's birth that, oh my God, that was another one that birthed the 40-day fast praying for church and leaders. There's so many points that one can look back and say, this really is the finger of God in our walk and walk with Him. And so our journey in life is a journey with God. Every time we bring Him into picture, we know that He's ordering ourselves and leading us in the path that He has marked out for us. So we shouldn't take our covenant relationship, that's this type of relationship, for granted, especially when we call God into the picture, because we have to go back to Him to get clarity. So, Mommy, I don't know if there's anything. Okay, Mommy doesn't want, So that's the. So 3 days we've been in the fast, and the course of it we've been reading Psalms of thanks and worship. We took up all the thanksgiving and the scriptures on thanksgiving. There are two worship and adoration. There are 227 of them, and then we took faith, because our work, it says the just shall live by faith, and so there the faith scripture were 227, and then the thanksgiving, worship and adoration were 175. So we were going through that. We broke that into 3 days, and we're praying through that and thanking the Lord, and each time we pause, sing some songs, and then look at that. Then every time we do that, we bring God into focus rather than ourselves. So thank you all. We are grateful. The Lord bless you, and we pray for so many of you who are still in the valley of decision, trying to make a decision whether we should marry that person or that person. We encourage you to spend some time in prayer, because marriage is a lifelong journey, and so many people get into marriage and just cut off their lives because they've got the wrong person. They got into a relationship that God has not ordained. And God will permit that kind of relationship because it's on the realm of permissive will. God didn't create robots. He still allows us to use free will. And then there's the one that God ordains, and the one that God ordains faces a lot of crisis. The fact that God ordained it does not mean it's not going to be attacked. In fact, when God ordains it, means it's going to influence a lot of people and a lot of things that have to do with the kingdom. So they become a prime focus of an attack by the enemy. If you're going to marry the wrong person, you just realize everything runs smoothly. But when it's the one that God has ordained, you just realize there's a lot of battles that comes into that. So when you're getting into a relationship and you just realize everything is running smoothly, no issues, your marriage, there's no issues, there's no fight, there's no attack, you have to slow down and ask, why is this going so smoothly like this? Because we know that the earth lies under the hand of the evil one, but God says in Luke 10:19 that I've given you power to tread over serpents and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt you. And then the other one is where people already in 10 years or 5 years into marriage, it's like, oh my God, why did I get into the marriage? I made a mistake. Well, we also had the same situation, because when you have somebody living their lives the way they want it, and then now you have to stay in the same room and you have to agree on things and whatever, it takes time to bond. And so we become one. We don't become one flesh in one day before we get married. We become one flesh as we walk together, and part of them becomes you, part of you becomes them, and then you now become one single whole. It says, for this reason, for a man leave his father and his mother, and the two they shall become one flesh. Becoming one flesh takes time. It's not overnight. And that's why you tend to see people who have spent so much time, they see the husband will they begin to look alike. But ours from day one, we looked alike because the vision said your wife will be like your sister in the place of prayer. And when I saw her, she looked like my sister, and that was it. But their marriages were 20, 30 years. You now just look alike. Your mannerism, the way you move your hand, the way you talk, her weakness, you compensate. And then your own strength, you use to compensate her, and then her own strength, she compensates you. Most of the time, people, when they talk about a woman being a help, they don't realize that the man also is sent to the woman to be a help, because there are places where you have the strength, and there are places where she has strength that both of you bond together. In the course of that number of years, you just begin to explore. I was telling Mommy in the course of discussion that she's a lawyer, I'm an engineer, so logical, this issue of lawyers, the way they analyze documents and whatever. I used to analyze documents, but when I married Mommy, after the number of years, there's no documents. I won't look at it like a lawyer, all right? And then engineering, fixing things in the house and all of that. She also enhanced that particular, she was enhanced in that particular area, So when it comes to organization, there's so many things in life that we need the help of each other. Listening. Mommy is a good listener. I wasn't a very good listener, in the course of the marriage. But in the course of the marriage, I've learned how to stay for 3 hours, right? Right now, that gift has become useful. Where we are talking to people in the US and UK and everywhere, 2 hours, 3 hours, we're listening and giving counsel. I mean, if I didn't borrow from that, I wouldn't have been able to be instrumental in that whole assignment. And most of the time, people think that they need to be alike to get married. No. You compensate. So if you're a person who like going out, your wife will be the one that is indoors. So you have an introvert and an extrovert married. But when you have two extroverts married, oh my God, the center cannot hold. All of you will be outside, running all over the place. Like the first marriage that I had, two of us were extroverts, and so the center cannot go. This one wanted to be partying and all kinds of things, and and then leadership. When there are women who are leaders, and most of the time people tend to think that it shouldn't be, that the man should be the one leading. But there are women who are born leaders, okay? And there are men who are like implementers, people who are the runners. That's what God designed it. The way God, it doesn't define it by male or female, like the way we talk about a man should be doing this type of thing, a female. No, God designs us and fashions us in different forms and shapes, and there are women who have more men capability than men, and there are men who have more women protective capability than women. Some men are more social than women. There are women who are less social. And so it's understanding, when you come together, you understand, okay, where am I strong? In fact, in place of courtship, you should sit down and do a personality test and say, where are my strengths, where are my weakness? And then you do for the other person, where are the strengths and where are the weakness? If your strengths all collide, that's the wrong person. That is just the first test. You don't even need to hear any spirit to tell. Do a personality test. Do me a personality test. What do you like? What doesn't like? How are you relating with people? If the other one says, I love people, and you also, I love people, there's a problem there. You can't have two people and have an enduring relationship if both of you are the same. Means there's going to be competition. Right? The first marriage, I had competition because she was a leader, I was a leader. So, and when we were praying, my dad asked me, are you sure this is the plan of God for you? I said, well, we prayed about it and blah, 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 and all of that. But by the time the journey started, we realized that, the center cannot hold, I think that's just the bottom line. And
question towards the last one.
Yes.
Then to find out, so how the Bible talks about the man being the head of the household,
Yes.
and whatnot. So in today's age, where the rise of feminists and equal rights,
Yes.
whatnot. Yes, I don't disagree that there are women that are very leadership oriented, go-getters, so to speak. Now they have a difficult time being submissive.
Yes.
So how does one navigate? Because there actually are men that aren't necessarily as
decision makers.
Yes, and it's not. I won't say it's a bad thing. It's in their nature the way they grow up.
Yes.
But yeah, like when it comes to the house,
Yes.
how does that run? Because you have people saying if it's the woman that is calling the shots, then you know they're not being scripture or whatever.
Yeah. You see, our relationship with God is it's not cast in stone. Most of the time, people want to put God in a box. They just want to put God in a box and say God will do like this, do this. But God's ways are God doesn't change, but His ways, the way He implements things, change. And so, when Mommy had there was an issue, Mommy was reading through the Bible and was asking Lord, why is it that everywhere in the Bible women are delegated to the background? Why is it that women are treated badly? And she wanted to ask me. I was in the bathroom, but the Lord asked her, how does Jesus treat women? Okay, how does Jesus treat women? Jesus had partners that were supporting His work. Women were the ones supporting His work, you know. And when He died, it was with women. So there's that aspect. There's a role everybody's. And when the Bible talks about men, it's not talking about gender. It's talking about the created ones, men. So he talks about a man or a woman or whatever. But we tend to sort of segregate and divide and all of that. So we are created in His image and likeness. So when it comes to decisions at home, it's important that somebody makes the final decision. And God recognizes the man as the head. Because there's going to be, so anyone you have, even if they have leadership capability and whatever, they should give you the resource to make the decision. They should give you the resource, and then you make the decision. They will give you, so if you have a wife who is a leader, she's going to say, I think from what you all are saying, I think this is the best course of action that we need to take. So, because you are the head, God sees you as the head, you take that information and apply, because that makes you a better leader, because you have a leader in the house. So you are not, there's no competition between you and that person anymore. Even if you're a follower, you now see that the information your wife is giving you as a leader helps you to lead the home. Do you understand? Helps you to lead the home properly. So it's like having a company where you have different gifts. I mean, you have different employees. We remember when these Ascom people sent their equipment and the equipment was faulty. And I called the team together and the manufacturer could not fix it. And in-house we were able to fix our problem because we leveraged the resource of everybody within the company. Do you understand? We took everybody's buy-in. We didn't look at, okay, they've gone to university or they've done that. And somebody who had not gone to university came up with an idea. And the ones that went to university were trying to shut the person down. I said, come, wait it. Hold on. Let's take this guy's idea and let's run with it. And it's his own that worked. Do you understand? And so it's having this self-esteem. Our self-esteem is really key. If you grew up without a very poor self-esteem and you have a wife who has a very high self-esteem, it's going to be a threat. So it's to work on yourself, and that's what the Bible does. The Bible, when we talk about discipleship, what discipleship does is to tweak with us to reduce areas in our lives that are not godly, and to bring that, because we are God's children. So the Bible will still tell you you are God's child, and you are joint heirs with Christ. So you are no longer defined by who you are. You are defined by who you are in Christ. And so even if you have somebody who has a gift better than you, you are not threatened by the gift of that person. You are not threatened by the gift of your children, your wife, or your whatever. You leverage it and thank them for being available in your life. You understand? But initially, when marriage starts, there's always this confrontation between who is what and what is who, or who is taking decisions and who is not. So as a leader, and then also the family that the wife comes from, the family that you came from matter. Like mommy's dad and mom now are celebrating their 50th anniversary this October 24th. So 25th, yes. So she was observing their life. And so when she came into the home, she borrowed some of that. You can't take that out of the equation. So where the families will come from matter. So if you marry a wife where there's no father, or maybe just mother, or there's father and there's no mother and there's fighting going on, you are going to contend with that in your home. So history is very important. So it's important to tell who. That's why openness is really key in relationship. Like mommy, when I was fasting and praying, when the Lord, I finally made a decision that she was the one. I pray that because I have a daughter, I pray that I'm going to talk to her about that daughter. And that if she accepts that daughter, I know she's the one that God sent. But if I tell her and she doesn't accept it, then she's not the one, because anybody that God has sent will accept whatever package and everything that God has sent to me. And so, when a guy is coming from a broken home, or there's a lot of crisis or relational crisis, there's no place for the person to learn, or where you find out the mother is the one drawing the shots in the house and the father doesn't really care. What tends to happen is the woman, when he comes in there, she wants to also implement the same strategy, because that's what she all knows. She doesn't have any other pattern of reference. And so that's why it's important to know, but more importantly, to know from God, who is this person? Is this person for me? Because God has a plan for you. God didn't drop you here without a specific plan. Anyone that tells you can marry anybody is just a lie from the pit of hell. God has a plan because he knows there's an assignment for every human being. It doesn't matter whether you are working in an organization or you're a ministry or whatever. There's an assignment, and God knows you need help. And so he's going to send you the right person to come in. But the right person might not be in a good scenario, might not be in a right frame of mind or an environment and whatever. But God will have a way of mending all of that in the course of the journey if you are open to it, and we bringing him into the picture. Do you understand? And so, yes, you can have somebody who has, but you still at home, somebody is making a decision. That's what leaders do. Most leaders you see in the world are not leaders. Some of them are followers, but because they have advisors, do you understand? And the advisors might have more ideas than the leader, but they borrow on those ideas to make a decision that will go well for the whole nation. Do you understand? So it's just to have this self-esteem, developing self-esteem not from what you have, the amount of money you have in the bank account, the intelligence. No. Drawing your self-esteem from the word of God, which says that we are joint heirs with Christ. You remember in Galatians 3:3, if you read through that, it says Christ has redeemed us from the curse of the law, being made a curse for us. For it is written, curses everyone that hangs upon a tree, that the blessings of Abraham might come upon the Gentiles. And so now we are joint heirs with Christ through Abrahamic lineage. And so that should give you some self-esteem, confidence. So anything around you, if you don't have money, should not, or you don't have building, or should not affect your self-esteem. Your self-esteem is not based on things. If your self-esteem is based on things, the day those things go, what happens? You collapse. Yeah. And that's why so many people maybe they are in a business, they have billions in the bank account, they lose everything and go and commit suicide. But if they understand that their self-esteem is driven from the throne room of God, because they have a relationship, then those things don't matter. Okay? I put that fan there.
The biblical view, the husband is to be the head of the house. So ultimately, the final decision will rest with the person. So for the wife, because the wife might already do it. Oftentimes many women have. But the person has passed
discernment, perception. Like if I go into a relationship and you know that there's going to be crisis, the woman can tell there's going to be crisis in that relationship.
Okay. So already, the woman already feels and knows where this is going. You actually not see it that way. You don't need to quarrel and gaslight the house. That's why we're believers. Commit it to the Lord in prayer. And leave Him to lead them. And just leave the rest.
So that is very crucial. Like the women need sixth sense because they give birth to children. So sometimes because the child cannot speak, the woman will be able to pick up that something is wrong. So if the child is struggling, there's a time.
For instance, there was the day maybe it's still a day. Just quickly come up. And me for just come back here. I didn't know what to do. But instinctively just flipped. Chaos.
Yeah.
And then sometimes there are lots of chaos and unnecessary tension and etc. So yeah, the man might see an investment opportunity and suggested like the Adiolas.
Trouble. Yeah, and so I think just to recap that is that women have perception, very high level of perception, and there are men that have very high level of perception as well. Just like I was talking about resource earlier, so there are women that can tell if a relationship is going to go bad. And the reason is that God wired them that way because when a woman has 3, 4, 5 children, you need to have extraordinary intuition to be able to tell, especially these children cannot talk. So God has helped that area to develop so strong that they can sense trouble. While we tend to take linear, one step at a time, they think multi-dimensional. They can handle several things at the same time. Carry too many balls in the air. This child is crying, this one needs milk, the other one needs that. So they're developing that. So that also can be applied in life situations where you're going into a relationship and the woman will just pick up that person is not going to be very good for you. Not every woman have that capacity, but some women do. A lot of women do, that perception. And so many of the decisions, the relationship we got into, that she warned me ahead before I went into, went on very bad. Of the maybe of 100 or 90% of the relationship, the one she warned that this one shouldn't get close turned out to be what they are. Some she'll just know this one is danger without, she doesn't know how, but she just know this one is trouble. And so, but in the course of these 25 years, we've learned to leverage on who has strength where and buy into it. That's what I was talking about earlier, that you don't become one in one day. That is a lifelong journey. So the more you stay together, the more you begin to understand one another, and the more you make amends where necessary, and know who has strength in what area. So you know the kind of resource you have in your house, and who is good in what. You know, we've extended.
Who is good in what? Like resource management. You don't need to control the funds because you're the head of the house. If the wife is the prudent one,
then she should be the one.
And let her take control of the finances. Eventually, it's going to be
affect everybody.
For the good of family. There are a lot of external interference, and they were just meditating all these goals here and there because he didn't want to make another mistake. Alright. So, but for me, I couldn't keep up with the inconsistencies. The last thing I did was the shallow feet proposal that now we dragged here and there back.
Men's opinion or women's opinion or people's opinion.
Subsequently. Today, okay, we think we're dating, and tomorrow we're back to fasting and prayer and being unsure and all of that. And oftentimes, depending on the age, women can be cool, guys can just be all over. Women have a good thing. Some just want a good time. But the serious another person, speaking of second, within 30 minutes. So when you now see someone that is just all over the place. Remember, for me, I just come out of a 3-year one that was not a relationship at all. I didn't know it. So I was not ready for another time wasting venture, and the people disappearing in my business. I was not ready. So I agreed with prayer, and now I was hoping that we had it. So the prayer, you don't need that all the time relationship. When I thought of that, we now have them back on another week, long time. But 2 days into the fast, something within just snapped. This guy is not serious. So I'm tired of this, but if he's going away, so that was one. Another time, after we had already moved on with it, I noticed that anytime I talk about
So these two people are in a relationship, and then along the line something happened and they're no longer connecting, so to speak, and they can't put a finger to exactly what happened.
The situation is more towards the lady's side.
Okay, she has withdrawn.
Yeah, there are things going in her life that has made her withdraw.
Okay.
There aren't things that should necessarily affect the relationship, not as if the guy has done anything. But then because life seems too large for her, she's unable to now.
Yeah. So what he should do now is to withdraw and start praying for her. Pray a prayer of cover for her, and pray that if this is God's purpose, that all the obstacles should be demolished, whatever it may be around her.
not necessarily withdraw what you said now. Maybe she needs support right now, but not crowding her space.
I think that's the main issue with the guy now. Is that he understands us, he understands people need this time and space. But then you guys are in a relationship, right? And the lady is not as present, which is understanding what happened. But then the lady is not being forthcoming, like maybe the issues, maybe like, okay, join me in prayer, or this is what I have to go through today. You know, so it doesn't feel like a relationship anymore. He's just wondering out, okay, is it that the relationship is too much for you as well? You know, and nobody was expecting anybody. So understand where it's coming from. And then, truth be told, I mean, the guy actually sent a message and, you know, to call it off, because I've been going for a while. So he wasn't entirely sure of, you know, where she was coming from and the perspectives and all that. The lady, from what he told me recently, that she's not able to really comprehend what's going on, but at the same time doesn't know if she wants the split or not. So it's a really sketchy situation for him and her as well. And you know, nobody wants to waste their time.
If he likes her and he feels that is where God is leading him to, in withdrawing, he can now fight.
So constant presence can also become an irritant to the other person. But when you withdraw, if the relationship is authentic, she will come back.
It's to pray.
It's to
As
pray.
he withdraws, he prays. Okay. So that assuming there's any external knowledge or whatever, it should be sure.
Yeah. And then
On the other hand, if that is not exactly the case, you don't want a wife that is immature and can't deal with whatever. Because if this is carried on into the marriage, it will scatter that.
That's what I was thinking.
So
Yeah.
it needs to be corporate, and remember that's what I always do. Anytime you talk about relationship or whether she wants that and not want that. So she needs prayers herself.
So she needs prayer. That's number one. Number two, there are also spiritual dimensions to relationship. That anytime you make the right choice, there's going to be contentions. So we wrestle not against flesh and blood. I think principalities has power. So if there's a relationship that God has ordained, there's going to be confrontation. And the discernment now, he needs discernment to be prayerful, to know what is going on. When we're talking about comfort, where she withdrew, and because of that, I got a vision, and then I had to travel to Abuja from Lagos.
It was like just within 2 days or 1 day. As I just opened my knee and decided, okay, alright, please. It was just within a few days and I just showed up in Abuja, in Lagos.
And that we made up then, So, and of all the 6 women that I was meeting, I was no obstacle. I'll take car from Lagos, drive all the way to Kaduna, drive all the way to Kano and whatever. No issues until she came on board. And the enemy knows there's certain marriages because the enemy fights marriage, authentic ones, the ones that God has ordained, because when that union come together, they will bring forth godly offsprings that will influence the course of the kingdom. And when that happens, the enemy wants to fight it and gives you the impression that it's not going to work. So the fact that she's withdrawn now does not mean that there's an issue. So he needs to withdraw and be prayerful.
So I'm going to ask about us. The withdrawal now, is it like a break up that is
No. Just if he's making a weekly calls, let him hold that. Make it a month. Do you understand? Hello, how are you? And in that month period, he's talking to the father about the person. Not from the position of I want to marry, no. Just genuine care for the person that he's praying for. If it doesn't happen, and the perspective is that if it doesn't happen, Lord, it's your plan I want. If it's happened, it's my plan I want. So you shouldn't make that lady the end of everything and say, this lady, you are everything and you are the one I must marry. And then you go into the place of prayer, you can't hear shishi, you can't hear anything from God. Because God will not speak to you if your mind is already made up. But if you come with an open sheet, plain sheet with a pen and a paper, God will speak to you. But don't go to God and start praying about somebody you want to marry and you already made up your mind and you want it to speak. It's not going to speak because it looks at the heart. And when you made up your mind, it's not going to speak. But come to him and say, look, whatever you say, I mean it. When I mean it from the depth of your spirit, that whatever, if this person goes, I'm okay. Not that you're so desperate to get married, that it has to be this person. No way, don't even start any praying. It's not going to work. Alright, so let him withdraw. Yeah, mommy.
It's just like me and you people in this house. When I notice, I feel something is off, and I ask, you may not tell me anything. You might even be rude. And I step back. Position is nowhere down.
But in that close position, she's praying also for you people.
But I will come and crowd this place. And what happens? You must come. The back. And do it. But I still your mother. I still love you. And I'm my baby. Anytime you're ready to talk. I won't compound you. You have to do that to people. So you can just go back to their friends. So my people step down from being a fiancé as soon as they got into that point. You just be friends. When you're ready to talk.
So that puts the pressure off her so that she can introspect. Because relationship can be so close. And it doesn't give you the leverage to maneuver. So a lot of people are just pressed in. Meanwhile, there are options. There are a lot of them that have options. And they are not even sure whether you are the person or not. Or they're not even sure maybe the job you have will be, because some people just want to protect themselves. Maybe the lady might have found out, okay, the friend doesn't have enough resource, and now there's somebody else cutting her somewhere else and providing something more than the other, and it's confused as to which one do I go for. Meanwhile, she wants the will of God, and the temptation for resource is contending for who is who and who is not. Do you understand?
And so, but if she, and then the option as well to will also be, okay, if you feel this is not,
No, he sent that already, and she told him that she doesn't know what is going to.
let you.
In that situation, she doesn't know what to do.
She wants to end it.
And after he sent the message, she didn't reply for like, she saw it, she didn't reply for a while. It went to process it. So she told a friend, there's a mutual friend who told her about it. She's trying to like understand what was going on, and that she asked for time, but meanwhile, the time she asked for was quite convoluted because it's sounding like you want this thing to end, right?
That's the girl.
The girl, yes. Because the guy has been there, just doing his best to understand, and from what you're saying, it's been a while, like 2 months since he started feeling, because on his end, he was feeling neglected for a while. He knew that he was getting neglected because he spoke about it. And then she also knew that certain actions she was not doing was affecting him, but still kind of did it, based on where she's at. So they really
want to start a life journey with somebody who doesn't have an affection for you. You don't want that, and you don't want to explain it away because somebody is going through something or whatever, because constantly that person is going to have the assumption tomorrow if there's problem, you will have 1001 reason why there's no relationship or there's no affection or whatever, because affection is supposed to be building up, okay? And so not that you just disconnect and 2 months there's no communication, no nothing, and it's not even getting back, and so there's withdrawal, and the person should make up his mind that I don't want anyone God has not sanctioned. And that's the attitude you should take to prayer. If this one is not it, let her not even call. It's better that way than she calls and if people force it, and then the next minute you are in marriage for 2 years, 3 years, and then the thing takes her apart.
Right from your own previous